All right, here we go.
Hi, it's Danielle, Dr. Edwards.
Okay. So that's what I do for some of my job. So I have all these people's accounts on my phone. And so I go to her account. She also does really cool videos where she pulls people's ingrowns out of their toes. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to watch. Then, hold on, I have to wait for that video to download. This Wednesday, I'm having Terry on. She's a nurse practitioner that works for Recovery Delivered, and she's going to come on my YouTube channel on Wednesday and talk about how she treats people that are on MAT. And we're going to talk about, addiction and all kinds of different stuff. But what I've been doing is I've been reaching out and getting to know people that work at Recovery Delivered. So last week I had Dr. Dan Carlin on, who is the Chief Medical Director of Recovery Delivered. And then this Wednesday, I'm going to have Terry on, who is a nurse practitioner for Recovery Delivered. And then I'm going to have a lady named Robin on, who is also a doctor for Recovery Delivered. So, honey, I'm interviewing everybody.
Hi, it's Danielle, Dr. Edwards. We're going to do the injection for the ingrown toenail that we're going to take care of.
Injection for an ingrown toenail. Okay.
And alcohol.
Injection
And then we use
for
spray.
an ingrown
That helps with the pain.
toenail.
Right. Cold spray.
Saturation.
Hi, it's Danielle, Dr. Edwards.
It would be kind of cool to be a podiatrist. I remember one time whenever I was first getting sober, I had this horrible pain in the arch of my foot. I mean, every time I would step on my foot, it would feel like my foot was collapsing. It hurt so bad. So I went to the podiatrist, and I actually found out that I had plantar fasciitis. Yep, sure did. Injection for...
Hi, it's Danielle, Dr. Edwards. We're going to do the injection.
Injection for an ingrown. So what that makes you feel like is it makes your foot feel like burns every time you step on your foot, and it would make my arch feel like my whole foot was collapsing. You know what I'm saying? And so it's very, very, very uncomfortable. What they ended up doing was giving me these insoles to wear with my shoes, and it changed my life, man. It helped so much. Okay, ingrown toenail. So that's why I tell you guys that you guys can get a job like what I have. If you want to work from home, what I suggest is going online. There's this website called Upwork, and listing yourself there as able to do work from home. And people will hire you. They will hire you to be their virtual assistants. They will hire you to schedule meetings or to reach out to brands to work with them. I know that my boss hired somebody to strictly schedule him for speaking engagements all of 2023. So that's literally this person's job, is to reach out to other creators and podcasts and big programs that my boss can go and share his knowledge of social media on. And so that's what this person does for him. So easy. Like that, all the person does is reach out to people all day long, you know? So, yeah, anybody could do that, right? That's not hard. Where you at, girl? There you are, girl. Yeah. Donna, all you have to do, girl, is all you have to do is go online and start looking for positions. There's plenty of positions online, you guys, that are hiring. Like I told you, Upwork, let me see if I can pull it up on my computer. Upwork.com is a place where you can list your credentials and show people, like, hey, I'm willing to work. I will do this, that, and the third. What? Okay. Let's see if it'll let me sign in with Google. Okay, here we go. Hold on. All right. I'm going to show y'all what I'm talking about, Upwork. And then you guys can get jobs working on from your home like me. What my job title is, social media account management, is my job title. I am the social media account manager for the company Socialty Pro, and that would be me, the one. Okay, so it says, clients like to know what you know. Add your education here, okay? I'm in Australia, so I can't do that, but it's great to see. Oh, that's okay. I totally understand. You actually, if you are in Australia, they actually have people from all over the world that use this. So, like here, you would put like your education, right? And then you would go to the next thing. And you would just totally list all the things that you can do, right? Because what businesses do is they come on to Upwork looking for contractable work that they can hire people, right? Let's say they don't want to like put an ad in the freaking newspaper or like hire a whole bunch of people. They just need like one or two people to do, some stuff. So this is what it's all about. It's hiring freelance developing people. So let's read about it right here. It says Upwork. Upwork connects independent professionals and agencies with freelancers. Introduction. Upwork is one of the largest freelancing sites with over 11 million freelancers. You would be a freelancer, okay? Freelancing social media account management. It's a safe environment for business owners to post jobs and freelancers to bid on them. The actual developer of the free program is Upwork Inc. The Upwork installer is commonly called Upwork, whatever. So, yeah, that's what it is. And it is, yeah. So you could list yourself there and let people know, like, hey, I can, all the things that you can do. So, like, for instance, social media account management, the job that I do for my boss or for my job is I do a lot of stuff, okay? So I post across all of our clients' platforms, okay? I answer all their emails, okay? I do their comment sections. I do their DMs, okay? I answer the phones for some of our clients' businesses. I do a lot for these people's business. Yeah, I'm like the jack of all trades. So where they would normally have to hire like 2 or 3 people to do the job, they can just hire me, one person, and I can do all the jobs, and that's what I do. And I really enjoy it too. for ingrown. I really do like. I really do enjoy doing my job. Ingrown toe nails. Nail. But yeah, I'm all about trying to share with you guys, you know, new information that for you to be able to get a job and have a good job in recovery. So what I do is I wake up in the morning and I immediately go online to get all the videos that I need to post for that day from the files. So I work closely with the person who edits all the videos for the company I work for, and so all the videos go to him for editing after they tape them. So a lot of the clients that we have are local to California, and we have like 3 guys that are in California that work for us that are that can do the camera. And so our guys go and meet with a client, tape them, get their content, you know, ready, and then they send it to the editor, and then I wait on him to get finished editing it. When he's done editing it, it goes through quality control, so it'll go through Randy, and then it'll go through me to make sure that like everything's spelled right and all that kind of stuff, you know. And then it lands in my hands, and I get to decide what music to put on the video. I get to make a caption for the video. Now it depends on, you know, what client it is. Some of the clients that we have are more hands-on, and they want like specific things written for their for the captions. So we have a spreadsheet for those clients, and they will literally put down what they want written on the spreadsheet with a link to the video and all the stuff. And all I have to do is go in and copy paste that, so that way I can post what they want. You know? Hey, yay, yay, yay. Thanks, Donna. And so if you're somebody who, you know, wants to work in online, this would be a great job for you, like for real. And like I said, Upwork is a great way to get in contact with these kind of jobs. So, ooh, I got indigestion, y'all. Let me see how this video looks. Hold on.
Hi, it's Danielle, Dr. Edwards. We're going to do the injection for the ingrown toenail that we're going to take care of.
Good deal. Okay. Just want to make sure that it looks good. Hey, what's up? Response to it because we were talking about serotonin syndrome. And whenever I came off of Lexapro back in 2020, and then I got back on it, I experienced a little. It was horrible. I was shaking, like violently. It was really scary. It was really scary. Are you in California? Oh wow, this is awesome. Sorry, Hey, Jennifer, what's up? So, a girl... Oh, she lives in California. Okay, cool. That's awesome. So she knows. Mr. Ricks. What are you doing, Jennifer? They will work with you. Work with you on financing or payments. Okay. There we go. Oh yeah, that's what I was trying to show you guys. So I am reading out of this book called Understanding and Helping an Addict While Staying Sane, okay? It says, Understanding and Helping an Addict and Keeping Your Sanity. Bada bing, bada boom, okay? And so this is what I want to read to you guys that I was talking about in my video yesterday, okay? So it says, fear. The addicted mind is constantly consumed with fear and anxiety. This is due to fears around what will happen to them as their problems mount and life continues to fall apart. But it's also due to the effects of addictive substances on the brain. As we discussed in Chapter 5, addictive substances push the feel-good chemicals, neurotransmitters in the brain up to super high levels, and when the drugs wear off, these chemicals rebound down to abnormally low levels. The resulting ultra-low levels result in depressive symptoms, including pessimism and a negative outlook, as well as anxiety. As such, when they're not intoxicated, addicts tend to be ridden with feelings of impending doom, excessive worry, and anxiety. To make matters worse, the brain also responds to the effects of the addictive substance by engaging its stress and panic mechanism, which results in the release of high levels of stress hormones, especially cortisol and adrenaline. The overall result is a constant state of fear and arousal in the brain that's only worsened by a perilous life situation. Many of the fears that plague the addicted mind cause addicts to fear recovery and drive them to avoid anybody or anything that tries to come between them and their drug. The specific fears that present a barrier to readiness for recovery include, these are the barriers, okay? Hold on, let me get myself comfortable. Okay, there we go. Fear of withdrawal, fear of detoxification, fear of living life without our drugs, fear of the unknown, fear of giving up control and giving themselves over to the care of others, fear that their life is such a train wreck that life in recovery will suck, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of being exposed as an addict and being branded by stigma, fear of arrest and otherwise having to take responsibility for their past actions. And I'm sure there's more than that too, you know. I ended up relapsing again about a month out of detox, and so today is day 4. Again, disappointing myself. Oh, don't be disappointed. It's okay. I'm glad you're back on track. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that you're back on track. Are you taking subs, Jennifer, or no? Have you done that grief exercise that we talk about sometimes whenever I go live? So for those of you guys that maybe have lost a loved one, I'm going to share with y'all a grief exercise that I've done that really, really helped me. I think Jennifer's heard me talk about it before because she's not new around here. She's an old timer. She has come to many of my lives. So one of the things that I did when I was in treatment back in like 2005 was this grief exercise. And so this is what I had to do. My best friend Nikki committed suicide in like 2005, 2004. And when that happened, I went off the deep end. I was shooting dope. I was popping Xans. And I was out of my mind, right? So I went into rehab. When I got to rehab, I was really depressed. I was crying every day. I could not stop thinking about Nikki. She consumed my mind 24/7, 7 days a week. And my counselor gave me this assignment, and this is what he told me to do. He said, I want you to write a letter to Nikki and tell her exactly how you feel about what she's done. Then I want you to write a letter from Nikki to yourself, okay? Answering back your letter of what you think she would say to you after reading your letter about her suicide, right? And then I want you to write a letter telling her goodbye and making closure. So there's 3 letters, okay? And so you write those letters, and then what the exercise is the counselor will pull somebody up from the group who can be Nikki, and we'll have Nikki sit in front of you and on a chair, and then you sit right here on a chair, and you read your letter to Nikki, and then Nikki talks back to you. And when I tell you guys, I cried my eyes out. It was so fucking real to me. It was like Nikki was talking through this person, and I didn't know this person from Adam. We were in rehab together, you know, and so it just was so helpful. It really, really was really helpful, because it was really helpful. And then after that, I took the letters, and you can burn them, you can bury them, you can, save them if you want to. It's really up to you. The exercise is more, in the back and forth with you and the person sitting in front of you. But I felt I had a breakthrough that day in treatment, and I had only been there for like a week or two, And so it really, really helped me. But that's what I did. That's what I was told to do. So if you've lost a loved one and you're struggling with it, try that out. See if you can find somebody that will do that exercise with you, and try it out and let me know how it works for you. Okay? I do appreciate that so much, which is why I'm so happy to be here. Yay! Oh, your therapist had you do that, Tracy? That's awesome. It really has helped. I feel like it did. Hey, Fendi. Yeah, so Jennifer, listen, okay, so the whole being disappointed in yourself, that's like totally a waste of time, right? So like it's understandable to be a little upset, but like right now, like totally kind of just focusing on being upset with yourself and disappointed in yourself, that's wasting time, wasted emotions, right? What you need to do is look back on the relapse, okay? Analyze that relapse and pick out where you made your mistakes. What was going on? Where did you go wrong? Like rewind like a month or 2 before you got high, and what was going on with you in your life a month or 2 before you got high. Were you like already bouncing the idea back and forth in your mind of picking up? Were you stressed out or like going through some things? Hey Bobster. Hey Crystal. Hey Margarita. What's up, girl? Where you been, Margarita? Were you going through some things? Were you stressed out? That kind of thing. And identify where that stressor came from, and then identify where you made the mistake when coping with it. So like what did you do that you shouldn't have done? Like obviously what you did was you picked up drugs to cope instead of using your new coping skills, which would have been to call somebody and reach out and let them know that you're sad about somebody passing away, if that's what it is that kind of catapulted you into making the choice to pick up. You know what I'm saying? Use those coping skills that you've had, that you have amassed over, the last year or so that you've been here online with us. And after you are able to see where the mistake was made and what you could do to change it and cope better for next time, right? Then you keep it moving, right? Because staying back in that lull of your drug use and feeling, uncomfortable and upset with yourself because you picked up is, like I said, it's totally counterproductive to what you're trying to do right now. It can suck you in, and you will find yourself like obsessively thinking about why you relapsed and beating yourself up about it over and over and over again. And that is just, like I said, a waste of time, and it's just going to keep you sick. So I tell people, there's a saying I wrote I want to read it to you guys because I wrote it on my Facebook page. and it was a really good one, and a lot of people shared it. You know what I mean? So whenever people share it, I know it's good. So let me find it because I want to read it to you guys. It was about relapse.
Hey, Dad.
I was like, if you relapse, come on now. Anyway, if you've relapsed recently, where's it at? It was really good. Anyway, it was like, if you've relapsed recently, I don't want you focusing on the past. I want you to pick yourself up and put one foot in front of the other and kick ass and take names or something like that. But it was better than that. And then I had shared a quote the other day about be careful judging addicts, okay, too harshly, because you might just wake up one day and they're the very person who's helping your loved one get sober. And I've seen that happen time and time again, where people have just judged people that struggle with addiction, and then they wake up and they are in the position where they need that person's help to help them or their loved one. So that's why we shouldn't judge each other, and we should be understanding and supportive no matter what. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I believe. Yeah. And Facebook has been playing me, man. I'm telling you, I'm going to make a new Facebook page because they're playing me, trying to keep me down. I'm so mad. If you relapsed recently, listen up. Stop focusing on the one mistake you made out of all the years sober. Focus on all you learned in those years or months, whatever it might be, right? You have not lost all your time. In fact, you have gained more experience. The only reason I want you to look back on that lapse is to learn from it. So I believe that when you pick up a drink or a drug, I believe that whenever when you go back out and you come right back in, I believe that you needed to learn something. I believe that something was going on and you needed to do something like something was going on and you needed to learn a lesson, okay? And so I feel like when a person goes out and goes and tips their toe in it and then pulls it right back and says, fuck that shit, I'm not doing that, I feel like there's something going on, you know what I mean? Like within that person where they're thinking like maybe sobriety's not what all that it's cut out to be, or maybe I'm not really meant to be in this life, or maybe, and then they tip their toe and then they realize, wait a second, no, I am meant for this, or sobriety is what it is, And so, anyways, I feel like that's what happens sometimes to people. Or they just get, depressed, start feeling some type of way. And so they, use drugs to act out. You know what I'm saying? Woohoo! Who's sending you messages, honey? Ain't nobody sending you messages over here, honey. Y'all tell Joseph we ain't sending him no messages. Joseph, we don't even know who you are, honey. Oh. There you go. So I can see it a little bit better. Okay, there we go. So I can see better. Ouch. Okay, back to it. All right, here we go. So it's easy. It's not easy, but it happens, to the best of us where, we make a decision and we pick up and we use drugs, and then we realize like, damn, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to throw away everything I've worked so hard for. I got to get back on track. That's why I believe that it's so important to not shame people. That's why you don't hear me saying things like relapse is not a part of recovery, or relapse is a part of recovery. I don't get into that semantics of stuff. I don't care, honestly. What I care about is the person who just relapsed, who's watching all the videos of addicts and alcoholics fighting back and forth about whether relapse is a part of recovery or not. That's what I care about. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've had using dreams. I had really bad using dreams whenever I got sober from methamphetamine, which was in 2015. I got sober from everything then, but like for some reason it was like so real, because I would inject in my dream and then I would wake up like right after that, and I would be like, did I just do that? I would feel it. I would feel like I had injected, but I hadn't. It was so real. So let me share something with you guys, okay? So like I was telling you guys about fear, right? That I want to tell you what it tells us about the fear that we experience, and that the mental barriers that block addicts and alcoholics from recovery. And fear is one of the mental barriers. So this is what it says. It says, telling someone our fears has a remarkable calming effect, especially if that person is someone who cares. When you've taken care to establish yourself in your addict loved one's eyes as someone who's safe and understanding to talk to, they may decide to come to you to unload. That's a huge step forward, and you can help it along by letting your addicted loved one know that your ear is an understanding ear. But telling people, talking about how you feel, You know what? I thought I relapsed. Do y'all want to hear a funny story? It'll make you laugh. So speaking of panicking and thinking you relapsed, me and my little boy, he was probably like 3.5 or 4. So I was in early recovery. We were in Kroger, and I had been watching all these people on YouTube. And the girl that I was watching, I was like Trisha Paytas or something like that, had been drinking kombucha. And here in Arkansas where I live, I didn't know what kombucha was. But I was watching all these vloggers and shit in LA, and they were all drinking this damn kombucha.
Where's your hair dryer?
Right there.
Can I get it?
Yeah, go ahead. They can't see you. They were all drinking kombucha. So when me and Nate went to Kroger, I went back to the drink aisle and I grabbed a kombucha and I popped it open while we were walking through Kroger, and I took a big ass gulp of it, right? Well, the next thing I know, I started to feel that warm feeling that you get when alcohol goes down your throat and into your stomach. Like, it felt like alcohol. So I immediately grabbed the bottle and I looked on the back of it, and it has fermented fruit and shit like that. It has alcohol in it, right? Certain percentage, not a lot. And so when I tell you guys, I ran up to the register in Kroger with tears rolling down my eyes because I thought that I relapsed. And I was tripping because I could feel the alcohol, and I was stone cold sober. I hadn't used in probably, I think I was like maybe 1 or 2 years. I was 2 years sober, I think, at that time, because I had Nate back already, and I didn't have my own vehicle yet. So yeah, I think I had 2 years sober. And honey, when I tell you, my little boy, he still hadn't forgot that time. He goes, Mom, what's wrong? And I'm like, that kombucha has alcohol in it. And my little boy, anytime we go to the grocery store, he'll go, Mom, don't get the kombucha. But he remembers it. And when I tell it, I could feel the alcohol in kombucha. Have any of you guys ever drank kombucha and felt the alcohol in it like I did? Let me look up what it says. How much alcohol does kombucha have in it? Around 0.5%.
According to Number One Living, kombucha's alcohol content is minimal, with most commercially available brews containing around 0.5% ABV. This technically makes it non-alcoholic, as a drink is only classified as alcoholic if it contains more than 1.2% ABV.
But honey, I could feel it going down. And if you're an alcoholic, I think you would probably feel it too. Um,
I'll tell you something. I was taking a shower, you clean first, and then go on some noodles, right?
it is nasty. It is nasty. And you know what? I would be worried about people who struggle with alcoholism, like being triggered by that. You know what I mean? I have to find a straight alcoholic and see if they can tell me if they've had that experience, you know? Okay, so since this book is about how to help an addicted loved one, so it's from the point of view of a doctor who is a drug addict in recovery. He's sober now, and so he's a doctor, and he has done all this research about addiction and wrote this book about how to help people, how to help your loved ones, your family, basically. Oh, thank you so much, Nettie, for subscribing. I really appreciate that. We got 8 now. 8 subscribers. Thank you so much. Yeah! My goal is 30 is what I put on there. So let me share with you guys what it says. So when you're talking to your loved one who struggles with addiction, right? Letting them know that you are an understanding ear and that you have been learning about addiction, not that you know what they're feeling and know what they're going through, but that you are there to support them, and that you understand, but you don't know the feeling because you're not an addict. I did. I actually watched a thing on YouTube about him overdosing. So it says, I suggest making it known that you've done some reading and research and have an understanding of addiction and what addicts go through, and that you have knowledge about addiction detox and recovery programs. This book will give you some facts and information that will ring true for the addict. However, it's best to make sure that you say that you understand and are willing to listen and learn, not that you know what they're going through. Addicts always say, only an addict understands an addict, and they tend to get offended when non-addicts say, I know what you're going through. When I was in active addiction, my mother used to say that she understood what I was going through because she had the same problem with peaches. When she bought a basket of peaches, she couldn't stop eating them. Needless to say, it didn't make me want to talk to her about my struggles. I know that's right. I'd be like, Mom, peaches, really? You do not know what I'm talking about. You do not know how I feel. The idea here is to get your addicted loved one talking, not to come across as a know-it-all. I know how you feel, or I know what you're going through will probably not be well received. Try something more like, I've done some reading about addiction and I'm trying to understand what you're experiencing. I'd really like to hear about what's on your mind and what your struggles are. The idea is to project that you're open-minded, non-judgmental, and truly wanting to understand. I suggest putting that information out there so that the addict is aware of your attitude and leave it at that. I suggest not inviting the addict to talk because that might be perceived as being pushy. They'll come to you when and if they're ready. Trying to push won't speed that up. What did you do, Nadine? You smoked? What? It didn't. All I see is, or I smoked, is what I don't see anything else. So in a year, so I know what you're going through. Oh, smoking cigarettes. Yeah. And sure, cigarettes are an addiction, but because cigarettes are readily available and you can go and get them, it's not like when you're addicted to, substances. So yeah, I totally understand what you're talking about. And I'll tell you this, being addicted to, I have a problem with food. Hey, thanks, Kay. I appreciate you. I'm addicted. I have an addiction to food also, not just drugs. And so food addiction sucks, man. It's probably harder for me than my drug addiction, honestly, because I have to eat I have to eat to survive. And it's like so psychologically fucks with me. But, it's still, I'm still not going to experience the things that I experienced when I was in drug addiction. I'm not going to experience that in my food addiction. You know, hey Travis, what's up, man? If you're looking for like, if you guys just come and pop in and you're like wishing you could like hear my videos and actually, you know, get to sit down and listen, I put all these live streams up on my YouTube channel, just so y'all know. So like, this is going to go on my YouTube channel. Last night, we talked all about the fear mental barrier, and it went on my YouTube channel. Now we're moving into the next barrier, which is self-efficacy and pride. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm sharing with you guys mental barriers that addicts or alcoholics experience experience when trying to get into recovery, like what barriers get in their way, and usually these are the things that happen. Okay, so I've learned through my own experience with addiction and through my interviews with addicts that the fears that keep addicts from recovery are largely unfounded. So, yeah, that means that when we work on allaying their fears in order to help them, we don't have to lie to them or exaggerate. We have the truth on our side. Treatment and 12-step programs are designed to help addicts with a train-wrecked life to ease their way back into life and to handle their problems one day at a time. And it works very well. I've heard many addicts in recovery say that their worst day in recovery was way better than their best day in active addiction, even though in recovery they had to face their fears. When addicts are facing criminal charges, debts to others, and the shame of having treated other people badly, remaining in social and mental isolation by hiding out with their substance use is their security blanket against the fear that these significant predicaments impart. Like going to jail or getting picked up on a warrant. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you guys how many times I have freaking hidden at my friend Savannah's house because of a warrant, or right before I was about to go back to prison. Oh, thanks, Kay. I appreciate that. Shame and guilt. Okay. However, when they've had a chance to clear their substance-soaked minds, finally facing up to these issues, it lifts a tremendous load off their shoulders. The tools for facing life's ups and downs that they learn in treatment, and the support of their recovery sponsor, and most importantly from family and friends, provides them with enormous comfort and the strength they need to face their problems and put things right. My experience and the experience of hundreds of other addicts in recovery who I have interviewed have been that judges, debtors, landlords, and other authorities greatly respect recovery, and they're tremendously pleased when someone in recovery has the courage to come forward and own up to their responsibilities. Yeah, a lot of times if, in my experience with people that I help out, like when we go to court and stuff like that, if they have, gotten all their fines paid off, or let's say they have got paid off most of their fines and they only have a little bit more to pay, sometimes the judge will waive it and say, you know what, I'm proud of you. You're getting sober. As long as you stay on the sober train and follow what you're doing, then you won't have to worry about these fines. We're going to totally wipe them, right? And so that could happen for a lot of people. They're always, so it says, yeah, please, and so someone has the courage to come forward and own up. Okay, they're always predisposed to give them a break. It might not save someone from jail time or other consequences, but it always makes a difference. Owning up to past wrongdoings, even if it means going to jail for a while, is a powerful and necessary aspect of healing from addiction. Debtors are almost always predisposed to cut addicts in recovery some slack and arrange a reasonable repayment schedule. Judges and debtors are so accustomed to addicts running away from their responsibilities that they greatly respect one who comes forward sober, wishing to put things right. A powerful way of allaying addicts' fears is through vicarious experience. We've already discussed vicarious experience in the previous chapter, but just to remind you, this term refers to the positive influence of hearing the stories of other people that one identifies with. In the case of addiction, vicarious experience involves allowing addicts to hear the stories of fellow addicts who were as bad or worse than they were in addiction and have beat their disease and found happy and healthy life again. Because it's someone who's shared their experience, addicts can identify with the person sharing the story and visualize themselves succeeding as well. I would suggest, when your loved one agrees to it, arranging for someone who's in recovery to come and speak to your loved one. So listen to this. One thing that I do all the time on my Facebook, you guys, people reach out to me on Messenger all the time. And I love it when moms reach out to me about their kids, because I say, I'll call them. Give me their cell phone number. And they go, you'll really call them? I'm like, yeah, give me their number. I'll call them now. And I had one lady, her son was like really bad off in psychosis in California on methamphetamine. And, of course I called him and he was, messed up. So he was kind of not really responsive to me. But, after that, he had started to text me and stuff. And so I remember texting the mom and telling her, hey, your son is actually responding to me and texting me now. I'm going to try and see if I can get him connected with Dr. B, because they lived in California. And when I talked to her, just me saying that, you could hear the relief in her heart, because, she's like, we don't have any money to put him into treatment. We don't know what to do to help him. And so it was really nice that I could be able to help, connect him with resources and insurance that would help him be able to get a little bit of help that he needed, Okay, so the next mental barrier that addicts or alcoholics experience is something called optimism bias. So we touched on this a little bit last night before I went to bed. But you guys, this is so cool. And all of us do this, so you're going to laugh. All of us addicts and alcoholics do this. Optimism bias. We spoke in chapter 6 about cognitive bias, which is the tendency of the human mind to distort facts and selectively pay attention to information that supports what the mind believes or wants to believe. As we discussed, this biased thinking is greatly magnified in the addicted mind. One of these biases is referred to as the optimism bias, okay? It's quite bizarre that the addicted mind, which is characterized by pathological pessimism, would be capable of excess optimism, but it does so in only one area. The persistent belief that addicts hold that one day they will be able to control or stop their substance use on their own, in their own way. What's especially bizarre about this belief is that addicts cling to it despite multiple failed attempts to stop or control their substance use in the past. And I was like, you guys, that's what we were doing for so many years, was chasing that idea into insanity, right? Or death. The idea that we could drink and use drugs without having negative consequences and without ruining our lives. And a lot of us, kept doing that and trying to manage it, but we kept failing miserably. And it's crazy that just that this is one of the barriers that we will struggle with before stepping into recovery. And it's true, because that's the idea that we can control our drinking and using, Okay. I thought it was pretty funny. The optimism bias is pretty much universal among addicts. In fact, the 12-step program has given this bizarre thinking a name: the insanity of addiction. This unfortunate cognitive bias is a factor in active addiction where people believe that they can stop their substance use on their own, and it's also a factor in recovery where people begin to believe that they can try drinking or drugging again and that this time they'll be able to control it. I find that the best way to help addicts to overcome the optimism bias is through a powerful behavior changing technique that psychologists refer to as metacognition. Metacognition is just a big word for a simple concept, making individuals aware of something they're doing but not aware of. Much of the optimism bias occurs automatically as the mind warps facts that this is a common symptom, warps facts to align with what it wants to believe. Simply by making people aware that this is a common symptom of the addicted mind, they can identify and challenge the flawed and dysfunctional thinking when it occurs. Addicts may be reluctant to accept this information, but if it's presented to them in a matter-of-fact way, they may begin to accept it because they'll see it happening in themselves. I can look back on my life in my active addiction, and for 17 years I tried to fix, manage, and control my addiction and keep it to where I could use successfully without hurting and harming myself or my loved ones. Over and over and over and over again. It was like I was a bull that was running into a wall over and over again with my big bull horns and the fire coming, or the smoke coming out of my nose, and the little person standing in front of there with a red ole, ole. Come over here, little girl. You want some of this. And I thought I could do it. I thought I could overcome it. I tried so many different combinations too of getting high. I tried only drinking. I tried only drinking during the day and not at night. Only drinking at night, not during the day. I tried only taking Klonopins instead of Xanaxes because Xanaxes made me still. I tried not shooting up, only doing hot rails. None of it worked. Okay. I run into this insanity of addiction a lot in my work with people in active addiction. When I explain this flawed thinking process and how it makes them continue refusing help in order to try one more time to quit on their own, I usually get resistance because they really want to believe that they can do it on their own and they don't want to give up control. It's seldom an aha moment where they snap out of it. However, once they're aware of this fact, it gnaws away at them and they begin to question the insanity of trying to quit their own way over and over and over again. It should be the same with your loved one. Don't expect an immediate cessation to the "I got this time I'm going to quit" attitude. But you can begin the process by putting the seed in their mind. I suggest being non-confrontational about it and not demanding action based on the information you pass along. I suggest being matter-of-fact and non-judgmental and then leaving it to sink in. Don't allow it to become a debate. You should put this information forward whenever you can, the most opportune time being when your loved one makes yet another promise to quit. I would suggest saying something along the lines of, I've read that a common symptom of problem substance use is a continuing belief that you can stop your substance use on your own without any help. Think about it. How has doing it your way worked out for you so far? Your own best thinking has gotten you into this horrible mess. Perhaps you should consider talking to someone about how they can help you finally get control of this. Oh, my feet hurt. Thank you so much for saying that, Nettie. I really appreciate you, baby. And thank you for subscribing. I really, really appreciate it. So now we come to reduced self-efficacy, okay? So I really don't know what this means, so we're going to learn about this together, okay? So it says, we discussed the concept of self-efficacy in the previous chapter. It's the belief that one has the ability to achieve a desired outcome. Despite the optimism bias, when people in active addiction get to the point where they finally concede that they need help, they're often beset by doubts that they have the ability to live without drugs or drink, even with help. Oh gosh, I was so overwhelmed. Really, Casey, how are you doing now? Are you okay? I was so overwhelmed with the thoughts of, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm going to fail. I'm a failure. You know what I mean? I'm going to fail just like I always fail, you know? And that's what was happening to me. I was failing over and over and over again. And you know why I was failing? Because I kept trying to do AA. Because I was trying to do the 12 steps. What I should have been doing was a whole different approach to recovery. But at that time, that was the only kind of recovery program that was being offered to me anywhere I went. Every treatment center that I stepped foot in, that's all they taught you about, you know. It wasn't until I tried something different that I was actually able to get sober and stay sober. Well, that's good, Casey. That's good. Did you was it a good experience? Were they nice there? Extensive research has shown that when people have low expectancies about their ability to achieve a desired outcome, such as beating addiction, their beliefs become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay? So this is why when I talk to you guys, like, you can get sober any way you want to get sober, as long as you believe that you can do it. Okay, you can get sober with a recovery coach. You can get sober without a recovery coach. You can get sober in a treatment center. You can get sober without a treatment center. You can get sober with a sponsor. You can get sober without a sponsor. Like, it's totally up to you, right? This is because they're unwilling to expend much effort on something that they believe is futile, right? If we think we're going to fail, why are we going to really work at it to be successful? So that's why in the beginning, when a new person is coming into recovery, it's so important that your mind shouldn't even be thinking about failure, okay? You should be so hyper-focused on being successful and connecting and staying sober. You have to fake it to make it, okay? You have to tell yourself that you're going to be able to kick ass, and you're going to take names, and you're going to walk the dog on addiction, optimism bias. You know? It's hard. I'm telling you, it's hard. It was hard for me, at least. Reduced self-efficacy. Okay. Beating addiction requires an all-in commitment, daily effort, and ongoing determination from addicts. It's a difficult thing to beat. When addicts don't believe they're capable of recovery, they aren't going to put forward the commitment and effort required. In fact, they probably won't even seriously try. After all, why waste the effort on something so hard if the outcome is unachievable? Again, we can apply the principles of metacognition. This involves pointing out the negative self-efficacy beliefs are a normal part of addiction because recovery in life can seem overwhelming. This information should be coupled with the fact that every individual, no matter how addicted, how messed up their life is, and how messed up they are in the head, is fully capable of a full and lasting recovery and a return to a good and productive life with the proper help and commitment. Something I noticed at rehab were yoga moms. Lots of empty nest syndrome. That blew my mind. Oh, yeah. And drinkers, drinking alcohol. You know, and there's also a big like popularity, you know, online with girls, you know, drinking wine and taking pills, drinking wine and having their Adderall because they're ADHD, or drinking wine and having their Xanax because they just can't make it, you know. It's sad because they don't mean to start out and become addicted, but they are like in a crew of people and they're all drinking, you know. And then, you know, maybe there's 5 of the girls who are all drinking and they're all, you know, wine moms. And out of 5 of the girls, you know, 2 of them are like, they become alcoholics. It's sad. But it's like almost like accepted. Like it's cool to be a mom that drinks wine and takes pills. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not cool the way I did it, I guess. You know? I was floored with the amount of amazing mothers, just totally normal, but was drinking bottles at the grocery store. Yep. Hey, what's up, Coca? Okay. What was it saying? Oh, yeah. The other way to boost self-efficacy is, once again, through vicarious experience. As I explained earlier, hearing about how other people beat addiction was the turning point for my recovery. Me too. I was actually in a treatment center and I had really never heard anyone tell their story before. And this girl named Candace Regal from Hot Springs, Arkansas, came to share her story. And I grew up in Hot Springs, and she was a meth cook, and she had went to prison, and she was sober, standing in front of me, sharing her story, you know? Straighten my hair tonight. Hey, that way you can wake up on time and not be late, huh? And, anyway, what was that? Oh, yeah, Candace Regal. She told her story about how she, you know, was cooking dope. She caught charges. She was facing prison time and all this prison time. And now she is, then she was sober at that time when she was sharing her story. And I just remember hearing her story and being so inspired and thinking, if she can do it, I can do it. You know? Well, I'll tell you, I think she's back in prison because she relapsed a couple of times, and I actually ended up in prison with her. Isn't that crazy? So in 2005, I was in rehab. She was in the rehab center sharing about recovery and sharing about how she got sober. And by 2009, we were both in Garland County Jail on our way to the penitentiary. Together. Isn't that crazy? Crazy. So crazy. She was actually my sponsor in 2005. Then she relapsed. Then we saw each other in prison. Then we got out of prison and both got sober. And then she relapsed, and she's just been having struggles ever since. She's a good lady though. She's a sweetheart. So the next barrier that we experience as addicts and alcoholics when trying to get sober is pride. Pride. Ugh. This is probably one of the hard ones. Pride. Okay, you guys? We talked about the bizarre pride of addiction, where individuals try to compensate for their rock bottom. Let me go ahead and go to chapter 4 so I can read this to you guys, because it says that we talked about it. Chapter 4. Okay. I want to know if any of you guys do this stuff, all right? Hold on. Let me put this right here. I mean, you don't have to share with me if you don't want to, but if you feel inclined to, please answer in the comments, okay? Okay, here we go. Secret substance use. How many of you guys are secretive substance users? Covered by lies and excuses, selfish behavior, dropped obligations and responsibilities, failed promises and resolutions, alienation of family and friends, inability to initiate action are all typical behaviors of addiction. The erosion of life and character brought on by addiction leads to a progressively worsening negative mindset characterized by guilt, shame, and self-loathing. Despite the hard, arrogant, know-it-all exterior, addicts are hurting inside and don't like who they have become. When someone becomes increasingly drawn into addiction, they develop a set of behaviors that may make them seem like a totally different person. When we watch a loved one go through this transformation, it's dreadfully distressing. A once caring and loving individual now seems distant, selfish, and uncaring and hurtful. To make matters worse, they're totally defensive and unapproachable. You can't talk to them anymore without it turning into a fight. It may seem impossible to understand how someone you love can undergo such drastic transformation for the worst. But you're not alone. People who go through addiction don't understand the transformation either. In fact, they're tremendously burdened by guilt, remorse, regret, and self-loathing because of their behaviors, declining relationships, and shirked responsibilities. They don't like what they've become any more than you do. Indeed, trying to cope with these negative feelings are a major driver of their continuing substance use. Yeah, I know that, Donna. Donna's been keeping a secret from me for the longest, and she finally told me, which I'm proud of you for doing. He's a doctor, just so y'all know. When I went through addiction, I had been practicing as a doctor and a psychotherapist for a number of years. So I thought that I had the human body and mind pretty much figured out. However, I couldn't understand my own behaviors, especially the terrible things that I would do and say. I couldn't understand why I kept self-destructing. I was just watching it happen to me without being able to do anything about it. My mother used to say, "You're so miserable and sick. You're ruining your life. Why don't you just stop?" But you know what? I couldn't answer that question. I too wondered, why can't I just stop? My dad used to say that to me all the time. How many of you guys have loved ones that would ask you, "Why won't you just stop, Donna? Donna, why don't you just quit?" And that's not the hard part. I quit many times. I would quit all the time. The problem was staying quit, right? People in active addiction get dismally down on themselves because of their behaviors. Each of them sees their unlovely actions where they put obtaining and using their substance ahead of all other priorities, no matter how dearly those priorities were previously held, as being evidence that they're a bad person. They're hurting inside, and they know they're hurting everyone around them. Yet they respond with anger and become defensive the moment anyone tries to help. It just doesn't make sense. All human beings have a need to feel good about themselves, and people in active addiction don't feel good about themselves at all. They get so down on themselves that they need their substance use to numb the terrible feelings. However, there's one thing that most of them, and maybe their loved ones, may not realize. All those behaviors, as ugly as they are simply the typical symptoms of addiction. One of the benefits of the disease model of addiction is that it helps people in active addiction and their loved ones to remember that the ugly behaviors of addiction don't mean that addicts are bad people. It means that they're people who are displaying the typical symptoms of a brain disease. They're people who are unwell and need to get healthy, not bad people who need to become good. In other words, the disease model of addiction helps us to separate the sickness from the person. As a doctor, when I have a person in my office who's schizophrenic and acutely unstable, and that person is causing disruption and chaos, I always remember that I am dealing with a person who has a disease that needs treatment, not a person who's a jerk. The same applies to the awful behaviors that we see from addicts. But remember, addiction doesn't excuse the behavior, but it puts it in context. Just because they have a sickness doesn't mean they're off the hook for their actions. Personally, I felt immense relief when I realized that I was the same as the millions of people who came before me and went through addiction, and that treating addiction meant that the same old good person could emerge once again. This realization helps addicts to see themselves as worthy of recovery and provides powerful motivation for beating their addiction. Okay, here we go. Y'all ready? I love this book. A good place to start when looking at the symptoms of addiction is by reviewing the medical definition of addiction, or as the medical book calls it, a substance use disorder, or SUD. Medical professionals all over the world rely on a standardized manual for diagnosing mental health disorders. A huge and very boring tome that's known as the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition, or DSM-5. Since addiction is classified as a mental health disorder, its definition is included in the DSM-5, addiction, the disease of addiction. So I'm going to share the video once, you guys share the video once, and we all get it out there to people that might want to come and hang out with us, okay? And I might be boring, but I think this is actually really fun. So you guys tell me. Let me share it again over here. Hey, come on, hang out with us and listen to me. Listen to us learn about the disease of addiction. Okay, here we go. Here's the things. Remember, 2 or more of these in a 12-month period. Hazardous substance use. Participating in risky behaviors while under the influence of psychoactive substances such as driving while impaired, sharing needles, or engaging in unsafe sex. Continued substance use despite obvious social or intrapersonal problems arising from the substance use. Neglect of major roles or giving up important or cherished activities due to substance use. Problems with family, relationships, jobs, school, or the law due to your substance use. Withdrawal symptoms when use is reduced or stopped. Tolerance develops so that the higher and higher doses are required to achieve the same effect. Using larger amounts of substances and or for longer than intended. Repeated failed attempts to control or stop the substance use despite an earnest desire to do so. Spending an inordinate amount of time obtaining, using, or recovering from substance use. Continued use despite physical, psychological problems that arise due to substance use. And cravings and obsessive, invasive, or cravings and obsessive, invasive, or perseverative thoughts about, okay, I think that means persistent thoughts about substance use. Cravings, obsessive, invasive, or persistent thoughts about substance use. The severity of the SUD, of your addiction, of the substance use disorder, is rated by the number of criteria that are present out of the 11 on the list. Okay, let's go through, and I want you guys to tell me how many of these things were present for you out of this list, okay? So, are you taking hazardous substance use? Are you participating in risky behaviors while under the influence of substances such as driving while impaired, sharing needles, or engaging in safe sex? Check, yes. Okay? Continued substance use despite obvious social or intrapersonal problems arising from substance use. Fighting with my family, my boyfriend broke up with me. Neglect of major roles or giving up important or cherished activities due to substance use. Problems with family, relationships, jobs, or the law, caught a charge. withdrawal symptoms when use is reduced or stopped. Tolerance develops so that you have to use more and more to get high. Using larger amounts of the substance for longer than intended. Repeated failed attempts to control or stop the substance use despite an earnest desire to do so. Spending an inordinate amount of time obtaining, using, or recovering from substance use. Continued use despite physical and or psychological problems that arise due to substance use. And cravings and obsessive, invasive, or persistent thoughts of substance use. So, the severity of the SUD is rated by the number of criteria that are present out of 11 on this list. Okay? So if you had 2 to 3 present, then you have mild substance use disorder. If you have 4 or 5 checked, you have moderate substance use disorder. If you have 6 or more, you have severe substance use disorder. Most of the addicts that I meet in my research check all these boxes, just as I would have while I was in active addiction. These criteria are for diagnostic purposes and fall far short of providing an adequate description of the symptomology of addiction. The DSM-5 diagnostic criteria for SUD provide a good generalized characterization of addiction, but they don't provide a picture of the daily life, mindset, and social interactions of people in active addiction. The kinds of things that we observe when someone we care about is living addiction before our eyes. As such, in this chapter, we'll review the typical symptoms that take over people's life when they're in active addiction. Yes, Ashley? Yeah. Okay, I want to read this to y'all. Listen to this. One of the main themes of this book is that the thought processes and behaviors, the symptoms of addiction, are driven by the physical effects of addictive substances on the brain, not by an individual's lack of intellect, morals, character, or willpower. It's easy to be judgmental of individuals who are wrapped up in obsessive substance use and behaving like complete, I don't know what louts means. After all, they display some really dastardly behaviors and some really ugly things and do some really stupid stuff. And they hurt others with no apparent remorse. However, we must remember that our overall goal is to help our loved one beat addiction and heal so that we can get back the fully functional and healthy individual we once knew. It's important that we do our best to maintain our compassion, patience, and love by doing our best to separate the person from the disease and its symptoms. You know, and even though I'm an addict and my husband is too, like that was really hard for me to do, was to, Jenna, what are you doing? Neil, will you watch her? She's coming your way. That's not easy to do sometimes, but when we understand the symptoms and why they occur, peering through the ugly exterior to see the hurting person underneath makes much more sense. This knowledge also forms a foundation for helping move our loved one toward a readiness to accept help and for supporting them in recovery. When we understand them, it makes it much easier to break down the walls and form a productive bond with them. And one of the things that I feel like that I really pride myself on I feel like I'm very good at it, is being able to connect and bond with people over the phone, over video, you know, through just texting. Like I feel like I have like a really good ability to feel people out and to help them to feel better about themselves and get them inspired and excited to do things to change their life. Do you know what I'm saying? Addiction, like any other disease, is an illness, and it tends to follow a distinctive pattern Thank you, Ashley. You guys, Ashley subscribed. Thanks, Ashley. Okay, we're getting there. Now there's 9 of you guys. Welcome to my subscription family. I really appreciate it. And so since more and more of you guys are subscribing, we will do a subscriber only live if you guys would like to do one. I just haven't done one because I really didn't have a lot of people subscribing. But, if a couple more people get in here and do it, then we'll start doing those subscription only, or we'll do, one a week or something, because I want it to be special for y'all. So this is so interesting to me, okay? Here, listen up, you guys. Addiction, like many other diseases or illness, tends to follow a distinctive pattern of onset and progression.
Sorry, I was looking for my phone.
Medical people refer to this as a disease's natural history, meaning that it's how a disease will play out if some kind of preventative intervention or treatment isn't initiated. Okay? In Chapter 1, we laid out the reasons that people begin repeatedly using psychoactive substances, initiating the addiction process. You may recall, for example, that some people begin using through a prescription for a legitimate medical reason. Some start their use as a way to self-medicate mental health symptoms, and some just plain enjoy the high. However, regardless of the reason for the initial substance use, the progression to addiction typically follows the same 4 stages, okay? So I'm going to write down the 4 stages, y'all. Number 1, experimental use. How many of y'all remember those days? Experimental use, okay? And this is sometimes referred to as recreational use. In this early stage of addiction, individuals begin using the substance or substances for the euphoric or sedating effects. They begin using the substance outside of casual social use, for example, drinking alcohol while alone for the high rather than drinking in a social setting. Or for prescribed drugs, taking the drug for the high in addition to or instead of its intended use. During the experimental use phase, people also began taking the substance at higher dosages or more often in order to obtain the desired effect. Okay? The next stage is regular use. Regular use. In this stage, individuals begin relying on the drug's effects to cope with getting through their days. Oh gosh. So the substance use becomes regular with increasing frequency. They begin using the substance to fix negative feelings or stress, or because they feel they can perform better with the substance. I can tell you exactly when this happened to me in my life. I was 15 and a half, 16, and I had just been prescribed phentermine for weight loss, and I started taking it, and when I tell you guys, it made me better. Overall, I felt better, right? And so I started taking 2 at a time, and of course I only got them for 2 months, so I ran out quickly, but I was taking more to make me better, to make me perform better in school, to make me be able to get done with my homework faster, so that way I wouldn't eat so much and I would lose weight fast. Tolerance and cravings develop as the body becomes accustomed to regular exposure. In this stage of addiction, individuals may become erratic in their day-to-day responsibilities, such as declining attendance and performance at school, work, or home. They often begin to socially isolate. Individuals start becoming preoccupied about their substance throughout the day, and worries about not having enough of it may become a major distraction for them. They expend considerable thought into how they will obtain enough of their substance as they develop fears and anxiety about having to face their days without it. Number 3, problem or risky use. Problem or risky use. At this point, individuals begin prioritizing obtaining and using substances over just about anything else, including their own safety. They lose motivation for school, work, relationships, and normal activities, especially if those activities interfere with substance use. Obvious behavior and attitude changes occur, and loved ones notice that the individual has become secretive and socially isolated. Difficulty in obtaining enough substances causes desperation, and individuals may resort to risky, illegal, or dangerous measures in order to ensure their drug supply. For example, people in this stage of addiction may begin trying to manipulate healthcare providers for prescriptions, dealing drugs, obtaining drugs on the street, resorting to drugs that are cheaper and easier to obtain, such as heroin or meth. Yep. Okay, and then number 4 is full-out addiction. Full-out addiction. By this time, the individual's life becomes focused on their substance use. They feel that they cannot face life without drugs or alcohol. Tolerance makes their substance use less and less enjoyable, and the substance use becomes about avoiding withdrawal and escaping from life rather than enjoying a high. Physical and mental deterioration and significant losses occur. Important aspects of life structure are lost, such as job, marriage, relationships with children and family, savings and significant possessions, and so on. Multiple desperate attempts to stop or control substance use fail. Depressed mood and suicidal thoughts or actions often develop. Serious behavioral problems arise, and interactions with the family may be turbulent and even violent. Desperation to buy drugs may result in desperate measures such as prostitution and felony crime. The addict may disappear for days or weeks or end without contacting their family. And so, I remember those times. Tolerance and withdrawal. Tolerance and withdrawal are important symptoms of addiction because they're one of the major drivers of continued and escalating substance use. Tolerance and withdrawal. And that's what it ends up getting down to. It ends up getting down to us using because we don't want to feel like shit. And when we try to not use, we feel like crap. You do know what I'm saying? And so, because a lot of us, we will stop using because we start to have negative feelings, right? But it's hard to stay stopped because of the withdrawal and how bad we feel. Tolerance and withdrawal are important symptoms of addiction because they're one of the major drivers of continued and escalating substance abuse. They're also a major barrier to recovery and play a role in drug overdoses. Tolerance is the diminished intoxication effect felt from a substance with repeated use. Tolerance also results in the body becoming able to tolerate higher doses of the drug without overdosing. If someone who's never taken an opioid before were to take the same dose as an opioid addict, it would likely kill them. Tolerance occurs as the body adapts to repeated exposure to the drug. The more tolerance develops, the more individuals will increase their dosage as they chase the high. Yep. Thus, a vicious cycle of mounting tolerance and increasing doses occur until individuals are using tremendously high doses with little to no effect. They're just like using it and it's like not even fun anymore. They describe that as the point where their substance use was no longer fun and the point at which they need their substance to feel normal. Because of tolerance, people often end up using doses that would be lethal to anyone who is not used to them. Tolerance is a part of the reason that there's such a high incidence of overdose in relapse situations, especially with opioids. When people are abstinent from substances abstinent from substance use, their tolerance begins to lower as their body readjusts to the new normal. Many people who relapse go very quickly to the same high dose of the drug that they had been using during their active addiction. But since their tolerance was lowered while they were in recovery, the high doses are now lethal to them and overdose occurs. Withdrawal is a cluster of uncomfortable symptoms that occur after the drug effects wear off and the drug is cleared from the body. Like tolerance, withdrawal occurs as a result of the brain's desperate effort to adjust to the repeated exposure to the psychoactive substance. The brain adjusts itself so that it's used to having the drug. Then when the drug is decreased or stopped, the brain reacts negatively. Generally, the higher the tolerance of an individual has, the more pronounced the withdrawal symptoms. Avoiding withdrawal is a major driver of addiction and often becomes the main motivator for continued substance use in the latter stages of addiction. Each drug has its own withdrawal symptoms, which were discussed in Chapter 3. People in active addiction usually have an intense fear of withdrawal, and this fear is a powerful barrier to recovery. Yep. Okay, it is a very powerful barrier. Hey, Anchor Girl, what's up? Okay, here are some classic symptoms, you guys, that you or your loved one could be struggling with addiction. Continued substance use, even though it's obviously causing problems at work, school, with relationships and finances. Neglect of basic self-care and appearance. Irrational decision-making. Shirking responsibilities and neglecting normal activities, including activities that were previously enjoyable or important for the individual. Sudden change in friends, leisure activities, and hangouts. Unexplained financial problems, constantly asking for money, borrowing or even stealing money from family and friends, and making excuses for unmet responsibilities and shortcomings. So, hey, Callie Girl Deb, what's up, honey? We are just reading.
Wash them and dry them.
Yeah, those are. Thank you. I appreciate that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you guys back to the substances. And I want to talk about the withdrawal from these certain substances. Specifically, I want to see what it has to say about methamphetamine. So, but we're going to look at all the substances, okay? So don't worry. Hey. So, alcohol's the first one, which I feel like we all know is alcohol and benzos are deadly. They can kill you in withdrawal. So alcohol is one of the most commonly used substances, largely because it's widely available. Callie Girl Deb, just so you know, I know you were commenting about the substance use disorder counseling degree. And so you're in California. That's awesome. Mr. Rick, if you go to my bio and click the box that says become a counselor and schedule a call with Mr. Rick, he'll call you and he'll talk to you and tell you everything about it. And you're located in California, which is where this program originated and everything. And so, if you get in and you join, let me know, because I would love to have you as somebody to help me stay accountable on doing my homework. You know, because I am the world's worst at that. Thank you. Thanks, Donna. Okay, so I feel like I'm the world's worst at staying on my homework. I'm almost completely done with the first. I'm 73% done with my first module. I just need to hurry up and I need to just do it. So alcohol is a depressant and has relaxing and euphoric effects, which is why it's so widely used as a recreational drug. During acute intoxication, being drunk, it induces a sense of well-being, reduced anxiety, disinhibition, increased sociability, and sedation. During intoxication, it impairs the main higher brain functions, including cognition, the ability to think, plan, use judgment, and make decisions, motor function, body movements, walking and coordination, and sensory function, the sense of touch as well as smell, hearing, vision, taste, and so on. With repeated chronic use, other brain impairments develop that favor addiction, and these impairments persist even when the individual isn't intoxicated. Alcohol works by increasing the effects of the brain chemicals that are responsible for slowing the brain down, the neurotransmitter known as GABA, which is why it's a CNS depressant, central nervous system depressant. This is why the brain slows down during alcohol intoxication, and people have slowed reaction time, slurred speech, slow thinking, and slow body movements. Okay. It talks about how women don't metabolize alcohol as efficiently as men, and they tend to become intoxicated faster. It's more alcoholism is more than twice as prevalent in men as it is in women. Okay, Okay, so alcohol withdrawal has 5 different subsets of withdrawal. Number 1 is the simple withdrawal. Number 2 is alcohol withdrawal seizures. Number 3 is delirium tremens. Number 4 is alcoholic hallucinations. And number 5 is post-acute withdrawal syndrome.
Post-acute withdrawal what?
Syndrome. Okay. And this is why I tell you alcohol can kill you. And alcohol withdrawal seizures can be fatal and are always a medical emergency. Alcohol detox is always a medical emergency. You should never, ever, ever. Thanks, Donna. Thanks for the corgi, baby. You should never be trying to detox yourself off alcohol at your house. Ever. Let's hear what delirium tremens is. Delirium tremens is the most severe form of alcohol withdrawal and is fatal in about 5 to 25% cases. It occurs in 5% to 20% of chronic drinkers when they withdraw, and about 1/3 of individuals who experience seizures will also get the DTs. Factors that increase the risk of experiencing DTs include older age, poor overall health, previous history of withdrawal seizures and/or DTs, and poor liver function. In most cases, by 48 hours withdrawal, symptoms begin to improve and individuals start feeling better. However, sometimes the withdrawal will continue to increase in severity and progress to the DTs. The DTs are characterized by hallucinations that are indistinguishable from reality, severe confusion, anxiety, seizures, severe shaking, high blood pressure, diaphoresis, which is drenching sweats, rapid heart rate, and fever. Individuals with DTs are a sorry sight. Oh, let me tell you about this girl. So I was locked up in Garland County Jail in 2009, awaiting to go to prison. And one day, I think it was like a Saturday or something, they brought a girl in. She couldn't have weighed more than 107 pounds. She had long brown hair, pretty girl, and she seemed completely normal when she came in. Completely normal. I pulled her a mat down and put it beside me in the sunroom or whatever, and we were watching Maury, and we were talking, and we were all eating commissary and bullshit like that. Well, that night it was time to go to bed, and we all got into our cells. Well, we were able to keep our cell popped because my toilet was broken. So if I needed to go pee, I had to go outside to the one in the middle of the unit. So my cell was popped. It was open at night, so I could go out and pee. Well, that night I was sleeping, and I kept hearing what I thought was like the ocean. Just like water, right? And I was like, damn, I gotta pee. So I got up and I stepped out into the day room, and that's when I heard that water sound even more, like splashing. and somebody talking while they were splashing and talking like to something. And so I walked down one cell to the new girl's cell and looked in, and that's when I saw her 107-pound ass completely butt naked, standing on top of her rack, grabbing at her yin yang, saying that she was pulling rats out of herself. Okay? She was like, "Don't you see the rats? Don't you see the rats?" And she was pulling from her vajayjay. And then I was like, "Girl, there are no rats coming out of you." But she was freaking terrified. You could see the horror in her eyes as she was grasping at herself, trying to pull these rats out of her. And that's when she looked down at the water, and she had flooded her whole cell and was like, "Look, the ducks. I flooded my cell for the ducks so the ducks could swim." And she was seeing these ducks. I had to bang on the wall for the CO at the top to see down there to come down, you know. And it was probably like midnight, and he came down, and I will never forget it, because there are two guys I went to high school with, you know. They were sheriffs, and they came in there and they said, "Holy shit, she was out of her mind." And she was going through the delirium tremens. Hallucinating and everything. Poor baby. I hope they took her to the emergency room, but it was really sad because she had no business being in that jail. She should have never been brought in there. And now, I'm assuming they brought her in on a DWI or something. The medical management of alcohol withdrawal includes measures to make the individual more comfortable and to prevent serious complications. This includes supportive care, seizure prevention, with a type of sedative medication known as benzodiazepines, magnesium, insomnia. This is a common symptom. Oh, they give you something to help you sleep. And thiamine, also known as vitamin B1, is administered. Wet brain. Have y'all ever heard of wet brain? There's a long-term complication that can develop after chronic alcohol use known as wet brain, properly referred to as Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. Okay? Donna, I love you. Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome is actually a combination of two separate conditions. Wernicke's encephalopathy. Encephalopathy is a condition that affects how the brain works, causing an altered mental state, and Korsakoff psychosis. Psychosis is a loss of touch with reality and may possible for chronic alcohol users to develop either condition separately, but they share a common cause and therefore usually end up occurring together. Wet brain is almost exclusively seen in alcoholics, but isn't directly caused by alcohol. It's actually a disease of malnutrition, specifically a severe deficiency of vitamin B1, thiamine, which often occurs in the advanced alcoholic. Remember a few paragraphs ago when I mentioned that when people detoxify from alcohol, they're given thiamine shots for 3 days. That's done to prevent or arrest wet brain. Damn, that's scary, man. Alcohol is not any joke. It is no joke. Like, honestly, that scares me, man. Okay. Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to have to get off here in a minute. I was wanting to read what happened with stimulants real fast. Serious problems with opioid drugs is that it's very easy to overdose on them, and overdoses are often fatal. Withdrawal from opioids is notoriously difficult, and fear of withdrawal is a significant barrier to stopping drug use for opioid addicts. In fact, as tolerance to opioids develop and individuals no longer feel much of a high from them, including withdrawal becomes the main motivation to continue the substance use. Although withdrawal from opioids is much feared and a major driver of continued opioid use, opioid withdrawal and detoxification, unlike withdrawal from alcohol, is seldom dangerous. Deaths from opioid withdrawal have been reported, but they're mostly in people who have developed diarrhea and vomiting that was so severe that they dehydrated and they were alone, usually in a jail cell, with no medical help available. Typical symptoms of opioid withdrawal include watery eyes and runny nose, intense sweating. I love you too, Pamela. Nausea and vomiting, goose flesh. Your mom would drink. Oh my gosh. You know what, Pam? I was actually in treatment with this little man. He would drink Dr. Tishner's mouthwash. Dr. Tishner's. Nausea and vomiting, diarrhea, loss of appetite, dilation of the pupils and sensitivity to light, muscle tightness, cramps, and overactive reflexes, fever, chills, hot and cold spells, rapid heart rate, heart palpitations, rapid breathing, high blood pressure, yawning, fatigue and lethargy, anxiety, depressed mood, intense drug cravings, and insomnia. And restless legs. Why isn't restless legs on here? Right? Hello. That's one of the main ones. There's a T changer. These withdrawal symptoms usually last 4 to 10 days. The exact duration depends on the specific opioid. Now, let me tell you, I want to read this to you real fast. The inability to experience pleasure is something that we experience in post-acute withdrawal, which is anhedonia. The pink cloud effect, excessively happy feelings often resulting in ignoring the reality of life. Addiction-related negative feelings, guilt, remorse, anger, self-loathing. Emotional blunting, fatigue, depression, anxiety, difficulty concentrating, irritability, cravings, and invasive thoughts about drug use and relapse streams. I'm going to have to make a video about this. Video right here. I want to make a video about this and video about this. I love y'all. So the protracted psychological symptoms are a potent cause of relapse. So like a lot of people relapse after they get off opiates because they're not having pleasure in their life. They're unable to experience pleasure in things that they normally experience pleasure in. They start feeling tired and anxious and depressed and irritable as they start craving the drug more. So that's why it's so important, like whenever you get sober, to have like a support system, people to lean on and talk to about what you're going through, you know? Okay, stimulants. Let's see what this says. Okay. People who take stimulants still get the euphoria, but they also get stimulation effects such as increased energy, reduced fatigue, increased sexual drive, libido, increased self-confidence, a feeling of well-being, reduced appetite, and hyper alertness. The most commonly seen adverse effects of stimulants include insomnia, irritability, jitteriness, anxiety, behavioral consequences due to impulsivity, confusion, and grandiosity, tight muscles and overactive reflexes, convulsions and seizures, psychosis, paranoia, delusions, flashbacks and hallucinations, stroke by bleeding into the brain or from a cut-off blood supply due to narrowed arteries and or blood clot, heart attack or abnormal heart rhythm, arrested breathing, serious muscle injury that may be life-threatening, tweaking, picking at the skin due to the tactile hallucinations, formication. So it says stimulant. As you might expect, the crash symptoms are the opposite of the high produced by stimulants and typically include persistent, extreme sleepiness, depressed mood, inability to feel pleasure, lethargy, low energy, lack of motivation, and powerful drug cravings. Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna get off here now, and we are going to, where we're gonna pick back up tomorrow is typical withdrawal symptoms include, this is for stimulants, meth, severe overall feeling of being physically sick, agitation and anxiety, drug cravings, profound depression, fatigue and insomnia, psychosis, emotional turmoil, lack of motivation, and vivid or lucid dreams. Okay, so where we're going to pick up tomorrow, you guys, if y'all want to come and hang out with me and do this with me tomorrow, let me put my sticker here, is on this drug chapter, and we're also going to come back to the mental barriers, which was, we left off on pride. So we're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to read about, we read about alcohol and stimulants, and so we'll read about barbiturates, and we read about opioids. We'll read about barbiturates and benzodiazepines and whatever else, hallucinogens. And then we'll go over to the next barrier, mental barrier, which is pride, which is so crazy because it's like a false sense of pride that we have, because like, it's not like, oh, what? I'm proud because I can shoot up a gram of cocaine. You know what I mean? Like it's a false sense of pride. So I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me. Yeah, I'm gonna make a video about using Secretly. Sure, using Secretly. Secretly. And how to come clean. Oh yeah, and how to come clean. Sure, Donna, I will, absolutely. Anybody else have any suggestions, or you want me to make a video on anything? But what time will I do? I'll go live tomorrow about 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I think we've been on here for about 2 hours. I'm going to download this video and put it on my YouTube channel. So if you guys don't follow me on YouTube, go ahead and follow me there if you want to, be able to watch the video over again. And yeah, thank you. I want to personally thank my new subscribers. Thank you so much, Ashley and Nettie, and thank you to my subscribers that were already there: Aaron, Snicky, Donna, Margarita, NC Auto Models, and Melody. And if you haven't subscribed, that's okay. It's just some people, want to and some people don't. I have no, I don't want you to feel like you have to, is what I'm trying to say. But if you do, I appreciate it. You know what I mean? If you are like, Nicole, I ain't got no money, that's why I can't subscribe. One way that you can help me that does not cost a dime is to go over to my YouTube channel and watch some of my videos. When you subscribe and you watch my videos on YouTube, that helps me because I actually get paid from YouTube. Okay? Pamela, thank you so much, Pamela. Now we're at 10. Okay, so now that we have an even number of people, 10 subscribers, I'm excited now. I'm going to DM each one of you guys, and if you guys are willing, I would like to put us in like a chat somewhere. If y'all were willing to do that, I can put you guys on in a Facebook chat, or we can just do like a cell phone group message on my phone. If y'all are willing, so I'm going to reach out to you guys, all 10 of you guys right now, and we'll figure something out that we can do. Because you know how I was telling you guys, when I first got sober, what really helped me stay sober was having the group of women that I met with every morning and we did our meditation together. That's the idea that I have for this. So what I'm thinking we could do is every morning when I get up, I could turn on subscriber only live and we could go live and do our morning meditation together. So, okay, I'm going to message you guys now. All right. See y'all later. Yay.